Henry is standing in line at a supermarket on a random Tuesday, holding a basket with eggs, coffee, and something he absolutely didn't plan to buy. One of those, "why is this even in my hands" items. The line isn't moving, so he zones out, staring at the card machine screen from the last customer. $9.84 left in their account. And for some reason, that number sticks in his head. Later that evening, he logs into his own bank account. Not out of panic, just curiosity. And there it is, a little over $10,000 sitting there. Not rich, not broke, just this weird middle space. Enough to matter, not enough to feel safe forever. And I don't know, maybe I think about stuff like this more than a normal person should. My name's William, and I spend way too much time thinking about money, financial habits, and why some people quietly build wealth while others stay stuck in the same loop for years. But that moment right there, that's a turning point most people don't even realize they're standing in. Because the difference between $10,000 staying $10,000 and turning into $100,000, it's not luck, it's not genius, it's mostly behavior. And once you see the pattern, you can't unsee it.
Don't miss the next money move. Like the video and subscribe. So let's talk about how you actually make that jump. Not in a finance expert with a whiteboard way, in a you living your normal life, barely noticing your habits kind of way. The first shift: stop treating $10,000 like extra money. Here's what usually happens. You cross 5 figures for the first time, and your brain goes, "Oh wow, I finally have breathing room." And suddenly, things that used to feel expensive start feeling reasonable. Better phone, slightly nicer clothes, saying yes to more dinners without checking your balance first. Henry did that. He didn't go wild, he just upgraded his version of normal. And that's the sneaky part. You told yourself, "It's fine, I work hard, I deserve this." And yeah, you do. But your money didn't get bigger, your lifestyle did. Tiny example. Henry upgrades his car payment by $180 a month. That's $2,160 a year. At 8% invested, over $20,000 in 20 years. Gone. It felt harmless. It wasn't. There's research from Harvard Business School showing that when income rises, spending usually rises almost just as fast. It's called lifestyle inflation. People feel richer, but their long-term wealth barely moves. You might be earning more than ever and still feel stuck. Turning $10,000 into $100,000 starts with one boring, unsexy decision. You don't upgrade your life, you upgrade your assets.
The second shift: your $10,000 is a seed, not a safety net. Be honest, part of you wants to keep that $10,000 just sitting there, like a cozy little financial pillow. It feels safe, visible, reassuring. But money sitting still is like buying running shoes and never jogging. Technically productive, actually doing nothing. Henry kept most of his money in savings for 2 years because he liked seeing the number there. Meanwhile, inflation quietly shrank its buying power. You ever notice how you'll compare reviews for a $25 kitchen gadget but leave $10,000 parked somewhere earning almost nothing? Yeah, same. A long-term report from Dalbar, which studies investor behavior, found that average investors underperform the market by around 3 to 4% per year, mostly because they hesitate, delay investing, or move money at the wrong times. Not because they're dumb, because they're human. That delay, that comfort of "I'll invest later," that's expensive. You don't turn $10,000 into $100,000 by protecting it from movement. You do it by letting it work while you're busy living. The third shift: boring beats brilliant. At some point, Henry got excited, thought about stock trading, watched a few videos, opened a chart, felt like a genius for about 15 minutes. Then he lost $600 in a week and suddenly became long-term focused again. You've done this too. You wanted the jump, the shortcut, the one big win. But here's the annoying truth. $10,000 becomes $100,000 mostly through boring consistency. Index funds, automatic investing, reinvested dividends, time. That's it. That's the secret nobody wants because it sounds like watching grass grow. Research from Vanguard shows that things like asset allocation and simply staying invested explain most long-term investment success, not picking the perfect stock, not jumping in and out, just staying put. Tiny example. Henry invests $10,000 and adds $300 a month. At roughly 8% for 15 years, he's around $100,000. No miracle play, no once-in-a-lifetime bet, just patience stacked over time. We hate that answer, but it works.
The fourth shift, your income matters less than your gap. You thought wealth came from earning more, and yeah, that helps, but what really matters is the gap between what you make and what you keep. Henry got a raise, celebrated by upgrading apartments. Rent went up almost exactly as much as his raise. Net progress? Basically zero. You didn't notice it happening either. None of us do. Lifestyle creeps in quietly, like a subscription you forgot you signed up for. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows that as income rises, spending rises in nearly every category. Without intention, higher earners don't necessarily build wealth faster. The 10K to 100K journey happens in that gap, not in your salary, in your restraint. The fifth shift, time is doing most of the work, not you. This one messes with your ego a little. You like to think wealth comes from hustle, smarts, big moves, but honestly, time does the heavy lifting. Compounding is strange because nothing seems to happen, then suddenly everything does. For years, Henry's account felt slow, like this isn't changing my life. Then one year, his investments grew more than he personally added. That's when the snowball starts rolling on its own. A study from J.P. Morgan Asset Management showed that missing just the 10 best market days over 20 years can cut your returns nearly in half. The biggest gains often come in short bursts, and you only get them if you stay invested. You don't turn 10K into 100K with perfect timing. You do it by not leaving the game early. The sixth shift, your behavior is the real investment. Let's be real. The biggest risk to your 10K isn't the market. It's you on a stressful Thursday convincing yourself you deserve something nice. Impulse buys, panic selling, jumping into hype, pulling money out because headlines sound scary. Henry sold during a dip once, waited for things to feel safe, then bought back in higher. Classic, painful, human. Research from Morningstar has shown that investor returns often lag behind the funds they invest in because of emotional decisions. This investor gap can cost around 1 to 2% per year. That gap over decades? Massive. Wealth isn't just about what you invest in, it's about whether you can sit still when your emotions want action.
The seventh shift. You don't need a home run. You keep thinking, okay, but 10K to 100K is 10x. That's huge. I need something big, something explosive. But you'll say, hey, William, $100,000 isn't happening from small moves. Yeah, you're almost right. It's not one small move, it's small moves you don't undo. That's the part nobody talks about. You don't need a home run. You need to stop striking out with lifestyle upgrades every time life feels a little better. You got a raise? You almost upgraded your car. You had a good month? You almost booked the why not vacation. You felt stressed? You almost treated yourself into a payment plan. And none of those decisions feel dramatic. They feel normal, reasonable, earned. That's why they're dangerous. Because turning $10,000 into $100,000 isn't about brilliance. It's about not quietly leaking money every time your emotions want a reward.
You might say, "But William, I still want to enjoy my life." Fair point. Of course you do. You should. This isn't about becoming a joyless robot who eats rice and stares at index funds for fun. It's about this. When your income goes up, your future should benefit first, not just your present. Just a little. Not all of it, just enough that your lifestyle doesn't rise at the same speed as your earnings. Because here's what actually happens. Henry didn't build wealth because he made one genius investment. He built it because most months he didn't mess it up. He didn't panic sell. He didn't suddenly double his spending. He didn't chase every shiny thing that passed by his feed. He had a bunch of boring months where nothing exciting happened. And those months, that's where the $100,000 was quietly forming. You don't need a breakthrough year. You need fewer self-sabotage months. That's it. Wealth is often just what's left after you stop interrupting compounding. So let's zoom out for a second. Turning your first $10,000 into $100,000 isn't about becoming some ultra-disciplined finance machine. It's about small identity shifts that almost feel too subtle to matter. You stop seeing extra money as permission to upgrade everything. You start seeing it as a worker you just hired. You let time do the heavy lifting instead of demanding quick results. You accept that boring is not a flaw in the plan. It is the plan. And most importantly, you realize the real battle isn't out there in the market. It's in those quiet little moments where you're tired, emotional, celebrating, stressed, and about to make a decision that feels small but echoes for years. You're not behind. You're not bad at money. You've just been living on default settings like most people. But now you've seen the pattern. And once you see that $10,000 not as spending power, but as the first tiny employee in your future freedom fund, you start treating it differently. You start treating yourself differently. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to pause a little more often and choose the version of you that wants options later, not just comfort now. That's how $10,000 becomes $100,000. Quietly, slowly, almost boringly, until one day you look at the number and realize it wasn't small at all.
If this video helped you see money a little differently, hit like so more people can find it. And if you want to avoid the mistakes that keep most people stuck, subscribe. I post videos like this every week. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.